Right. We are live. Well, welcome to anybody who may be
Hey.
joining us. It's our Thursday Think and Grow Rich. This week, we're talking about the power of the mastermind, which I think is a great thing. And I'm here with my teammates. I got Walter Perdigo and Karin Gatnick, and Eric Keys may be coming. He's a little bit behind. So if he's not here, we'll miss him. Maybe see him next week. If he's here, fantastic. So anybody want to start with anything in regards to mastermind? It's something that we all seem to do.
Well, we better agree with it because that's what we're doing.
Yeah, right. And one of the things that actually just before we got on the call, I was talking to Karin about was, what we're doing really is more of a book study.
Yeah.
And how often you find a lot of masterminds are really that we're studying, the pages of someone's, incredible writings, that type of thing. But a true mastermind is actually sit around and exchange ideas, exchange knowledge, and things like that. A lot of phenomenal things will start to happen when you really truly have a really great mastermind. So, should I just maybe just start reading a little bit of what Mr. Napoleon Hill has here? Does that sound good?
Let's do it.
I think I can see it. If I can't, I have glasses here somewhere. There they are. I'll try reading it anyways, just the way it is. So good afternoon, whoever's joining us there. Unfortunately, the system I use, I can't see who it is. So if you feel like it, add your name to it, and then we'll be able to say hello to you directly. Anyways, so whoever that is, good afternoon. So the power of the mastermind. It says here, the driving force. It's a 9-step towards riches. Now he goes on right away to say power is essential for success in the accumulation of money. Plans are inert and useless without sufficient power to translate them into action. Now that's a big word. Action is a big part of all this. Now this chapter will describe the method by which an individual may attain and apply power. Power may be defined as organized and intelligently directed knowledge. Power, as the term is here used, refers to organized effort, sufficient to enable an individual to transmute desire into its monetary equivalent. Organized effort is produced through the coordination of effort of 2 or more people who work towards definite and in a spirit of harmony. So one of the things with this is I think a lot of people misunderstand this. Like I was just saying, a lot of people, they do book studies. And, the real mastermind is when you get 1 or 2 or more people together and you really start to focus in harmony towards a definite aim of some kind. And the key also that he said right in the very second paragraph there is you really have to jump in. Right. That's the thing is, people like to sit around and talk about ideas, but then when it comes to actually taking action, and then they start getting back into the idea, well, I need to plan more and do things. So the reality is you just have to jump in. Like we had that conversation with the organized planning last time when we were doing that. And, I think we all kind of agreed that that's not necessarily how we do things personally, but it's a great chapter. Again, don't want to tell people not to read it. But that is one of the keys is you have to jump in. And one of the things too, when he's talking about coordinated effort of 2 or more people to work towards a definite end in a spirit of harmony. That's important too, is like if you're going to get into a mastermind group, it's really important that you're on a similar mindset. Like you can't be, you're not going to mastermind with somebody whose belief system is completely different than yours. And there's nothing wrong with getting their opinion, but you're going to have a hard time really coming up with ideas and thoughts that are going to take you where you want to go if you're dealing with somebody who completely, that thinks completely different than you do. So I think that's an important thing. Anybody want to add to what I just said so far before I carry on?
Yeah, it kind of goes back to, excuse me, the various laws of the universe there. One of them, of course, is law of vibration, which just says we vibrate, so you want to be in a state of high vibration, high energy, which is, when you get in these masterminds, you're in a state of enthusiasm, you're excited, you want to accomplish something and you want to bounce ideas and get, ideas from other people. But then, law of attraction, like energy attracts like energy. If you're in the presence of a bunch of people that are also excited, it's all contagious. And then of course this, law of reaction, where you actually will start taking action. You'll start hearing some ideas that you've never even thought of. Because, it becomes a bit of a synchronicity where you're not quite sure who to contact or what to do, but one of your colleagues has, from their past or their colleagues or whatever, they'll recommend to go to this video or talk to this person or take this course, read this book. It's amazing actually how it all works, how it all seems to come together.
And he carries on here and he says, power is required for the accumulation of money. Power is necessary for the retention of money after it has been accumulated. That's something, just that alone, like I actually counted it. Like up until this part, he's already said power 9 times. Right. So obviously that's a big thing because, I think what he's kind of referring to is, the strength of discipline. Like you have to be disciplined when you're doing all these things. So it goes on again to say, let us ascertain how power may be acquired. If power is organized knowledge, let us examine the source of knowledge. And he's got 3 different sources here. One is infinite intelligence. Now, this source of knowledge may be contacted through the procedure described in another chapter with the aid of creative imagination. B here is accumulated experience. The accumulated experience of man or people, he wasn't necessarily politically correct back then. We're talking about 1937, so it seems like only men, according to this book, can grow and think and grow rich, I guess. But anyways, we know something different. And I'm sure Karin will certainly tell us about it if we happen to get off on the wrong tangent, right, Karin?
Yeah.
So accumulated experience of man, or that person of it, or that portion of it which has been organized and recorded, may be found in any well-equipped public library. An important part of this accumulated experience is taught in public schools, colleges, where it has been classified and organized. And then the third one, experiment and research. In the field of science and in physics and practically every other walk of life, men are gathering, classifying, and organizing new facts. The source to which one must turn when knowledge is not available through accumulated experiences. Here too, the creative imagination must be used. And he goes on again here and say, knowledge may be acquired from any of the foregoing sources. It may be converted into power. Again, he's talking about power by organizing it into definite plans and by expressing those plans in terms of action. Examination 3 major sources of knowledge will readily disclose the difficulty an individual would have if he depended upon his efforts alone in assembling knowledge and expressing it through definite plans in terms of action. If his plans are comprehensive and if they contemplate large portions, he must generally induce others to cooperate with him before he can inject them into the necessary elements of power. So what he basically, I think, saying here is, going alone really doesn't work. Like it's tough. You see it all the time. Like, we all have clients we work with, and one of the biggest things I keep running into is, people will tell me what it is they want, and then when it gets into actually making it happen, is they're too busy planning. I want to plan on how to make it all work. When the reality is if you already knew how to do it, if you already knew what the plan was, you'd already have it, right? So this is where, again, masterminding comes into play, because you can tap into other people's knowledge. You can tap into their experiences. You can use their imagination, their creativity to help you build that picture. And then, of course, he keeps talking about taking the power, the action, to make it all happen. Any thoughts on any of that so far?
Yeah, so there are many, many factors that come together. So you said it's the infinite intelligence. This is one, and this is the knowledge. And we all know how important it is to have people around us who we can talk to. So I don't have so many people around me that I can talk about my goals and my dreams we all know how the people react and respond to our dreams. They say, oh, how do you want to make this real, and how do you think it's going to work? Yeah, we know it doesn't matter. The how is not our job.
Yeah.
So first is the infinite intelligence, and what you said, Lee, this is so interesting, because if you are together with people like we are in this group, that's what happens to me. I don't think about what I'm saying. This is just the impulses come in. So this is like you have the connection to the infinite intelligence. And then you start talking about your dreams and your goals. And the next step is so clear. So first, the infinite intelligence, the connection to this higher power, and the knowledge from the friends you talk with. This is all a combination. That's what a mastermind is. And that's the benefit of a mastermind. And that's important if for anybody who wants to grow and who wants to start a business, grow the business, or grow personal, no matter where you go. But for growing general, it's so important to have the right people and a mastermind. Yeah. And for me, this is very special that you come together with people and you don't have to think about every word you say. And that's what economy is. Yeah, the environment around me. I know it. This is my experience. Sometimes I have to be careful what I say, because not so many people understand what we are talking about.
That's right.
Yeah, that's a great point. So anyone that's watching this obviously wants to get into this, field of study, or is interested in self-development. And you know exactly what Karen just said. Every entrepreneur, as soon as you're trying to elevate yourself to something new, everyone else's ego kicks in. They're used to seeing you as you were. You're trying to grow yourself and think larger and kind of grow yourself, but you're gonna get advice from every walk of every person in your life.
Yeah.
The advice you want to take, whichever one that has value, is someone that you admire, you respect, or is very knowledgeable. You believe in that particular area. When you're in it's almost like a safe group. It's almost like, this is where I can recharge my batteries, because just like Karen said, you're not afraid. You don't have to explain what you're talking about. Everybody gets it. Everyone's on the same wavelength. You can throw out ideas. You can throw out, hey, I need to, everyone's in this mood of giving. How can we help? Throw out ideas. They're not, there's no dumb ideas. It's just like, hey, we thought about this. Maybe think about that. Maybe try this. I've done it before. Here's how you go about it. It's this spirit of almost self-progress, or all of us progressing. It's in that sort of spirit. And it's important to be around that regularly, because, everyone else around you that isn't particularly in that same mode has a lot of negative energy, and you're almost shielding yourself constantly from that negative energy. And again, you get to recharge every week, ideally every week. I've been involved in 3 masterminds so far. Actually, this one's the 4th. First one was with you, Lee, actually. Our first mastermind was, it went for a little while. And then the second one was probably the longest. I was with a bunch of guys for about 5 years or so. And that's where I really got to throw out ideas. That's where I got to expand the ideas of my book, throw out, each one of us grew, a ton in those 5 years. My business grew, I actually wrote the book. I put my coaching program together, all through that, just through constant coaching and all that. I wouldn't have had the courage, not the courage, I had the courage, but it's almost like accountability. Every week you say, hey guys, what are you going to do next week before we meet? Oh, I'm going to try and do this and that. And next week, if you don't want to say, yeah, I didn't do anything. It's almost like positive peer pressure or something. You know what I mean?
And the great thing about masterminds is, I think anybody that's part of it usually wins.
Mm-hmm.
even if, like if majority of the conversation for a little while is trying to help someone else, accomplish whatever they're doing. I've always found, even in those situations, that I win too, because it gets the juices flowing. It gets, everything's moving, and there's a lot of energy and vibration and things, and it just reminds me, even what we've already just said. It's important that you're with people that are of the same belief systems. Like you can use something like Think and Grow Rich and start a mastermind that way, and then branch off into more of an actual true mastermind rather than a book study. That actually helps people, I think, in a lot of cases, to get on the right mindset. Again, this is a great book to be doing that with. I'm not coming across too many people that are in personal development that don't want to spend some time studying Think and Grow Rich. Like, it's the book. I think it's the book, but you need a couple other ones to add to it, kind of thing. Like, I can think of, even like, let's mastermind for a moment. Think of other books that you could put with Think and Grow Rich that would make it even better. Like, first one that comes to my mind would be like Psycho-Cybernetics. That would be a great book to add to this, because I think that the material that's in this book is absolutely phenomenal, but it is missing some things. Like, it is missing, that conditioning a little bit. It's missing the paradigms a little bit. It's missing, why you're not acting. Like, it's telling you how to do it, and telling you how to think and grow rich. But at the same time, it's not telling you why you're not doing it.
Yeah.
It has it in there. There's elements of it, but I think that there could be more of that, which make it even better. The people, if you think about the people that he interviewed to do this book, were already successful. They're already not having those issues where they're being held back by their conditioning and things like that. So, like what I'm saying right now, this is a way to mastermind ideas, because when people are thinking about and whoever our person is joining us, the power of the subconscious mind, absolutely, that's another one that could be added to this. Or even what's your Thought 2.0? We could add that. So
Yeah, right. Thought 2.0, CBAR book.
Finance tuning could be added to that. You could even
Absolutely.
add German for Karin to offer. All right, so like, it's the fascinating, again, like I was saying, is like the people that he interviewed were already successful. So they already have certain habits. Right now, what this is doing is telling you what their mindset is, what got them to where they are, but it does leave out a little bit of in regards to understanding why your habits may not be allowing you to have the same success. Because you think, like, there's been 100 million people that have read this book. There's not 100 million people that got rich from it. Although the information in here, if you were to follow it, is going to increase your income, or it's going to improve pretty much anything in your life. Because again, like, he's talking about money most of the time, but it can be applied to anything. It's got nothing to do with just money, right? So,
Yeah.
those are things that I love about Mastermind, sitting around talking. Like, to be able to find people you can actually just sit and have a conversation with, and get your mind going. Like, that's the beauty of a mastermind.
And feel sort of the safe space. It's almost like a safe space where you don't have to monitor what you're saying and all of that. You just kind of throw it out there. No one's going to ridicule anything. They're going to encourage you. It's a great point. I think all of us, every one of us, in the Elevate network, read all of the books. Definitely read all of the books. And it was exactly what you said. There was nothing that kind of, for me, walked you through the steps of exactly some concrete things you can do with all of this knowledge. You almost have to piece the things together yourself. Because when I read the book, originally I was probably 19, and all of that made sense. I got it sort of from a knowledge perspective. Yeah, it made sense. And then kind of like, but I get discouraged and stuff. Like, you just get caught into those feelings of fear, the terror burn, all that stuff. It didn't register with me back then. When I read it, decades later, it made a lot more sense, just because of experience and everything. But that's why I did that CBAR book, which just stands for Conceive, Believe, Achieve, Receive. A lot of that came, from Napoleon Hill, his approach as well. But it was, taking you through the steps, understanding your mind. I think that's that thought 2.0 is all about understanding why your mind is doing it, what it does, and understanding that your conscious and your subconscious are two separate things. And once you understand that, it doesn't mean you're not going to have negative thoughts, but when you get them, you understand them, they aren't a part of you anymore. You understand that it's just information. You can do something with it. I took all of that, what other steps can we do? How do you set goals? What are good goals to set? How do you set your values? How do you create vision boards? All those things. There was no practical guide. So that's why I wrote my book. And, each one of the courses in Elevate kind of covers various aspects of that. So, yeah, it's a great point that you brought, that it's a good starting point, but it kind of gets you on the path. But you got to kind of continue and keep reading.
Keep going.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but what you said, Walter, it's true that you know what you have to change, and even when the people are aware that we have the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, and then we have some habits and we have some beliefs. And I think that is so important that people have a mentor, because alone you can't find out what your habits are and your beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
And you need someone from outside with a different perspective and perception who tells you, what did you say? Why did you say that? How do you feel when you say that? That's what I'm doing with my clients. Yeah. So when you say that, why do you say that? How do you feel when you say that? Change your perspective, and then you change your vibration, and then it's in the consciousness, because these are the small little things. They are in the subconscious mind, and these are the blind spots, and every one of us has these blind spots. And that's why it's so important. We have the Mastermind group. We are our mentors for each other. And but that's why it's so important for people to go to someone who looks from the outside and tells you, look at this direction, maybe you can see it in a different way. And that's where the changes begins.
Yeah, definitely your ego gets involved all the time. It's a default. You don't, if you don't take action, you automatically fall into the default of your paradigm. And unless you meet regularly with positive people to get you into the habit of thinking positively, taking positive action, and all of that, you just by default fall back to the same old, and you're back in the same old routine before you even know it. Like, you don't need it. It just creeps up on you. In a few days, or even a couple of weeks, you just back to the same old, making a lot of excuses why you can't do this, can't do that. I don't have time to diet. I can't, I can't exercise. I don't have time in my day. I can't take a course. I don't have time. A lot of it is I don't have time. But the important thing really in the habits of seven, the 7 habits of successful people, I forget who wrote it, was basically saying you need to put the rocks. Time will just kind of fill around you unless you kind of set the main areas for your week of the time you're going to set aside for the most important things. You say, regardless, I'm going to, whatever it is, as an example, say working out. I'm going to work out half an hour every single day. Everything else works around that. That's my rock. And then the sand of, the sands of seconds throughout the day all can fill around that. But unless you make a commitment, every single day or 3 times a week or every week, I am going to do X for this amount of time, it will not get done. Like you need that repetition, that ritual. You have to get in this positive ritual. So it becomes a part of your paradigm. After a while, if you don't work out or you don't read or you don't do the thing that you want, it feels like something's missing, which is the exact opposite of where we start.
In that area too, that when it comes to a lot, I see it all the time with people in business. they get, finally get into the right mindset where they're expanding their business, but they haven't really changed their conditioning. And if they're not around a mastermind group or mentors or coaches and things like that, you're going to find that, 3 months, 6 months down the road that their business falls apart.
Yeah.
Because they weren't conditioned to succeed in the first place. It's what they're learning, what they're working on. Maybe the mentor, the coaches, the mastermind group they're part of has got them to a place where their business goes up. And they get to the point where, wow, I'm so smart. I'm just the greatest thing there ever was. And 3-6 months later, everything's falling apart because our subconscious mind will sabotage your success because you're not conditioned to have it. But you can gain that from the constant repetition of the information. And that's what you're going to get from having accountability partners, mentors, coaches, and of course, mastermind groups. Like I see it all the time. I get people that I've worked with many times that, they do really, really well. And then maybe we're no longer working together for a while and they come back 6 months later and everything fell apart. And it's because they didn't keep doing the same things that got them there in the first place. Right. It's that constant repetition of this new information. Right. And this is where, again, like having a mastermind is such a great idea because, there's that specialized knowledge that we've talked about that comes from all those other people. They all have talents and they all have different ways of looking at things and they can share that with you. And it spurs you on a regular basis. So I'm a big fan of this. You had something you wanted to say, Karen? I think I cut you off there a moment. You good?
No, that's exactly what you said. This is the consistency, to be consistent in this group and you stay on a high level. First, when the people come in such a group, they raise their vibration. They have the high level of vibration and frequency. And if the mastermind group falls apart, the success falls apart. And it is it. Yeah? For me, it's really great. Yeah. To be in such a group. And this is for raising the vibration. And if you are in such a group, in a mastermind group, and if you have the right people around you, you don't have the chance to fall back in the old self. That's the next one. But the people, they have to bring up the will. Yeah, they have to want to change. And I think that's the biggest problem. At the most people, they are not sure if they want that. They are not sure if they really want to step into their new life.
That's the ego. The ego will definitely creep in, right? It'll always compare what you want to your paradigm, where you are currently. If you it's a great point. So you're meeting with the master. It's also important that it also brings up another good point. It's important to get in people that are, if you can, into the mastermind. Bring in also new people. I mean, you're all growing, which is amazing. It's always good to have somebody that is kind of at where you aspire to be. So let's say, for example, you have a company, it's $100,000 company a year, let's say, and you're aspiring to be $1 million company. And by the way, if you're happy with 100,000, fantastic, then great. There's other areas of your life you can focus. But let's pretend you want to be $1 million company. When you reach, your first target was 100,000, and you worked and you achieved it, and you're with other businesses that tend to be $100,000 as well, and you get in that now is your paradigm. You've kind of raised the bar, and now your new bar, your standard is 100,000. I am $100,000 business. Now to get that to $1 million is a whole different vibration. It's a whole different mindset. It's a giant leap for you to grow 10 times. If you get other $1 million businesses or somebody that has $1 million business, you'll just see that to them, they've achieved it. It's not a big deal. The fear isn't there. When you're talking to, you're $100,000 bush, you're talking to $1 million business owner or something. That's nothing to them. They can tell you exactly how to get to it. They're there. It's part of their paradigm. Maybe they're growing to whatever they want to grow to. But you think it's not a big deal, and it builds your belief, Oh, how did you get that? How did you think that? Oh, you get that kind of supplier. Oh, you need to think about, hiring this way. All those kinds of things. Again, it's that level of vibration. You just want to have people in your group that is the same, level or higher in that one area if you can.
And help you grow.
And help you grow. Exactly.
It's an interesting thing, like you're talking about going from like 100,000 to 1,000,000.
Hmm.
A lot of people think, oh, that's so much more work. It's not.
No, it's not. No.
A lot of cases, you can talk to people who make 100 million and work a whole lot less than they did when they were making 50,000.
Oh,
Right.
big time.
Right. And again, it's all mindset. And even in situations like, we're talking about masterminding ideas and things, a person is making like $100 million a year, is masterminding with people, even people just specialized knowledge ideas, like things that are, they've got talent in certain ways. So they mastermind with them on how to get that portion of their business done. And then, of course, I think you're going to find it's pretty safe to say that, there's somebody that's making $100 million a year, that they've got their own mastermind group of $100 million a year people.
Hmm.
And then they mastermind again with, you go back to, the people you need to run the business for you. But this one thing too, like, you're talking about ego, we often think of ego as some kind of narcissism, but your ego is actually anything that you think you know the answer. And the reality is you probably don't. And again, that's where, masterminds come in. So like he goes on to say here, the mastermind may be defined as coordination of knowledge and effort in a spirit of harmony between two or more people for the attainment of a definite purpose. No individual may have great power without availing himself to the mastermind. He goes on to say in preceding chapter, instructions were given for the creation of plans for the purpose of translating desire into its monetary equivalent. If you carry out these instructions with persistence and intelligence and use discrimination in the selection of your mastermind group, again, very important, your objective will have been halfway reached even before you begin to recognize it. That's the thing to understand. You pick the right people, you're already halfway there.
Yeah.
So that's an important thing. So you may better understand the intangible potentialities of power available to you through a properly chosen mastermind group. We will here explain the two characteristics of the mastermind principle, one of which is economic in nature, and the other one psychic. The economic feature is obvious. Economic advantages may be created by any person who surrounds himself with the advice, counsel, and personal cooperation of a group of, says men, of people, I'm going to say people, who are willing to, because, we got this incredible woman right here with us, so it's obviously not just men. Anyways, it bothers me every time I read this. Anyway, group of people who are willing to lend them instead of him, wholehearted and in a spirit of perfect harmony. This form of cooperative alliance has been the basis of nearly every great fortune. Your understanding of this great truth may definitely determine your financial status. Now, he goes on here and says the psychic phase of the mastermind principle is much more abstract, much more difficult to comprehend, because it has reference to the spiritual forces with which the human race as a whole is not well acquainted. You may catch a significant suggestion from this statement. No two minds ever come together without thereby creating a third invisible, intangible force, which may be likened to a third mind. So basically what he's saying, and we touched on it already, is those two people coming together with an idea is going to cause us to be put into a vibration that's going to allow us, through our intuition or whatever, this universe is going to also be part of our mastermind. And that's what he's going on to say here. I'll just read that part again. No two minds ever come together without thereby creating a third invisible, intangible force, which may be likened to a third mind. Right. And there's people that refer to the universe as the intelligent mind, or the things, the source, and things like that. So, any thoughts on that?
Oh, any thoughts on that? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, thought is energy, right? And when you're at a high vibration, you get two great ideas. The reality is when you're trying to achieve whatever it is, manifest whatever it is that thing is, it's almost like a set number of actions and a set number of energy is needed to make that thing come real. It's almost like a bunch of little Lego blocks. If you think of every action as a little Lego block, you're going to need a certain amount. when you're just yourself building that Lego blocks, well, you can only produce them at a certain amount of time. When you got 2 people or 3 people all lending their energy to it, it's going to grow that much faster. It's got, double, triple the amount of energy towards the same goal. It manifests that much quicker, just because all this positive energy and all these positive ideas are all coming together. That makes perfect sense.
Absolutely, yeah. This is to picking up the vibration. So if I spend time with people, they are really rich, I can step into this vibration. They level me up on this high vibration. They take me with them, and that's what I felt when I interviewed some ladies, successful ladies, for my book, just to ask them, what is your mindset, and what habits do you have, and what's your day looking like, and what are you doing all day long, and do you have a job? Or I just talked to them because I wanted to know which habits they have, which beliefs, what paradigms, how they grew up, if it's natural for them to be to have good money all the time. And it's so interesting. Every time when I had an interview like that, 1 to 3 clients showed up.
Oh, yeah.
It's interesting. So I was in a different vibration, and that's what the people feel. And that's when you step into the person you want to be.
Yeah.
I at this time I was really fascinated. Really, it blowed my mind when I recognized what I did. Just talking to these people, it was amazing. Such a big effect, and I can tell everyone who wants to grow and start a new business or expand a business, go to people. They are there where you want to be.
Yeah, most definitely. I don't know, maybe you can remember, Lee, or even Karen. It's been a while since I read the book, end to end. But there was someone, I can't remember if it was Henry Ford, if it was actually Napoleon Hill, that almost had a mastermind of people that he admired. So he had it in his imagination. I think maybe it was
Well,
Napoleon Hill.
that's possible. Yeah, I heard about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was actually Napoleon Hill. And so he would have like Abraham Lincoln in his imagination, and Henry Ford, and it's amazing when, yes, it's just in your imagination. Your imagination is an amazing thing, right? I mean, it puts you into this environment that's artificial, but anyway, I don't know if it's artificial. It's created in your subconscious doesn't know reality from imagination. So you put yourself in that environment and you just start asking questions in that elevated sort of enthusiastic state. It's actually amazing the answers you get back. I don't know, I'm sure all you feel the same way when you're writing your book, especially around this topic. The ideas that come to you when you're trying to flush out these thoughts, there's something beyond, it's beyond me or something, you know what I mean? Like if I just or thought about it myself without digging, going through that process, I probably would not have come up with a lot of the stuff and conclusions that I came up with. But just going through that process, kind of, you get your mind elevated to that universal mind, I assume, right? And you start coming up with it's incredible ideas. And also in a mastermind group, some of the ideas you come up with, you're like, wow, I mean, I probably would not have come up with that myself if I wasn't bouncing this off of other people, right? It's incredible how that happens.
That's a great thing to be doing, hanging out with the right people. But like I love anything to do with personal development and growth. So
Yeah.
I just love hanging around with people that think that way. Like I love being able to sit down and have a conversation about anything. Like it's and that's not easy to find.
No.
And going back to what Carl was talking about, hanging around with successful people. One of the things too, like I've been fortunate enough to be around some pretty amazing people, and they're not any different than you or I.
No.
The only thing different is they chase their dreams. Like, and again, that goes back to that conditioning, the paradigms. And, we talk about, your false self. Your false self is really not even you. It's the environment you grew up in. And, as you decide, consciously, you may be saying, you know what, I want to do this, I want to do that, and I want to do this. Well, you can do it. It's probably been done, or there's somebody doing something similar to it. So it's not like it can't be done, but you've got that false self inside saying, you know what, who do you think you are? That's the problem. And that's why, when like Karen's saying hanging around with, successful people, well, it's proof. So even though you might have that little voice inside saying, who do you think you are? Well, how come they don't have that voice? How come that, or maybe they did.
They did, definitely.
Right.
So they just got through it. They just saw it for what it is. It's again, your survival instinct. It will always kick in. Everybody thinks, oh, I'm the only one. Why am I so down on myself? You're not. Everyone is down on themselves. The only difference is you start, when you do this enough, you start to see that just because you're getting those thoughts doesn't mean that's true. The power to those thoughts is because we go, oh yeah, that's who I am. Oh yeah, I tried running a business, it didn't work. I'm not destined for business. It's funny, these statements that we say, and someone else is hearing them. When you're explaining, this is your truth. You can't talk someone out of their own truth, right? So when someone comes to me and says, I'm terrible at business. All right, then you're terrible at business. That's your belief. I can't talk you out of you thinking you're terrible at business. Doesn't mean it's the truth, right? It's again going back to the objective mind. The objective mind just sees something for what it is. Someone says, I'm terrible at business. It's just someone saying I'm terrible at business. It is not the truth. The truth is your belief in whatever the thing is, right?
Yeah.
That person's going to be terrible at business because they believe they are. Even though, you know what, they may actually have the talents to be really good at business, but they've conditioned themselves, or they've been conditioned to believe that they're not.
Right. They're slaves to that survival instinct. It's the fear. It's not a bad. I mean, it's the other thing I kind of come to appreciate it, because it used to be. It's almost like the little devil, little angel, or whatever. It's the little devil kind of telling you, oh, you can't do that. Don't do this. Don't do this. Almost like, oh, just get away from me. It's almost like the split personality or something. It's really none of that. Expected. It's our survival instinct. Its whole job is to say, this is your paradigm, this is your belief, what you're coming up with now, this is where you really believe you are in relation to that you think, right? If it's a huge idea, if you're growing much larger than you are now, then that's going to kick in your survival instinct. It's going to say, that's scary, I have no idea I'm going to achieve it. You're going to be afraid. But if you just take it as information, yeah, of course, it's my ego. It's comparing my paradigm to where I want to go. It's a big difference, and it's afraid. Great. So that's what it is. You're just afraid because it's a big difference, right? Yeah, and you still do it. Exactly. It's just information.
Yeah, just do it. Yeah.
And just keep going. Right. It's exactly right. Everyone feels the fear. That's normal.
Sure. Yeah.
The people that achieve are the ones that take it for what it is. It's information that you're afraid, and great, and you still move forward.
Fear too, right?
Yeah, everyone.
They just keep going.
That's absolutely right. In fact, use it as the measuring stick. If you're not afraid, it's not a big enough dream. If you're not afraid, or if you're a little afraid, it means you know how to get there. If you want a 5% increase in your income or whatever, you can figure out how to get there. And yeah, it's a little scary, but whatever. It's not like you're afraid. Right? No, when you say I want a 10-fold increase, then that's scary. Whoa, automatically you get kicked in. What are you, nuts? How are you going to do that? Just drop it. What are you, crazy? That's normal. Expect it.
I was saying that little devil and little angel you're talking about there. My little devil was always telling me to do certain things that I shouldn't do, and the angel would say, "Don't do that." So it's and luckily, I listened to the angel enough. I'm still here, so it's
yeah.
But I can remember being young and I listened to the devil too much. Which probably led me to personal development, because it was either change or who knows what, right?
Yeah, look, it's this whole existence is an amazing thing, right? we're here. This is how I see it. When you're feeling that the highest emotion you can ever be, when we talk about being, there's two polarities to being, this physical being. There's love, which is the highest self, right? That's our real self, I believe, right? I think that's our true self. That's what's tied to your conscious. Somehow this spirit side of us, this energy, that intelligent energy called consciousness, is tied to our body through the mind, through that consciousness. The subconscious is all of the survival stuff based on fear. So when you're feeling those negative energies, it's not the real you anymore. That's all based on the ego, survival instinct, all of that. So when you feel negative, it's not really you, And so assess it. It's our fear, whatever. Take the information, forget about I'm afraid I'm going to lose my job. How am I going to pay the rent and all that stuff? Just let it go. Just say, look, I lost my job. Why did I lose my job? How is this going to propel me forward? Oh, you lost your job? Yeah, but you wanted a much better job, or you wanted to start a company. Well, now this opens things up. So look at it that way, right?
Prosperity.
Right. Nothing in itself has meaning except the meaning you give it. So don't just go with the meaning of your ego and your fear. It will come to some judgment. It'll put some subjective thing as to why it's a horrible thing, right?
Mentors and mastermind groups, they come along and they help you make those decisions, right?
Absolutely right.
Karen, did you have a devil on your shoulder?
Oh, yes, always. Not only one. Sometimes I have two or three. But that's so important in a mastermind group, that you have people, they say, yes, you are right. Because the doubt, the self-doubt is a big part of why people don't make the big step, I think. The self-doubt and the fear of failure. And when you have people around you, they say, yes, you can do it, just do it. You are right. And I know it from myself. I had times when I thought, I don't know if I'm thinking the right way. I don't know if it's right, what's going on in my mind. I know all this stuff, but I had times when I didn't understand it, like I do it today, maybe. And if you have people around you, they say, yes, you are right. Yes, that's the right thinking. That's the thinking that brings you to the next level. Just do it. You are on the right path. That's important, because this is motivation.
Yeah, you're on the right path, Karen.
Yeah, I mean, actually,
I have to put my devil down.
The two or three of them. They're like hanging in a group or something. So Lee has a program called Personal Power Principles, and actually speaks to I forget what you called it, but basically it's almost like a thermostat, right? You set your thermostat, and that's your paradigm. You open the door and cold air comes in, right? So the cold air would be, I want to look like Ryan Reynolds. That's my goal, as a physical goal or something. Well, that's much farther than
you already do, right? So.
Yeah, right. That sets the bar much higher, right? And then just like a thermostat, which is like your paradigm, that automatically kicks in your ego to say, whoa, slow down. Let's bring that back down to the normal temperature. Bring it back to your paradigm, your current belief system. But until you do that enough, now you raise the temperature to that new thing. When I do have a Ryan Reynolds body, that becomes the new norm. And now that's the setting. And as soon as I don't know how you get much better than Ryan Reynolds' body, but anyway, if you try and go even higher.
I'll be honest, I've never thought about it. Ryan Reynolds' body's never crossed my mind.
No? Oh, man, I love that Canadian. He's awesome.
Actually, off topic a little bit, but people have actually seen him, on the subway and stuff in downtown Toronto. Like, it's like,
oh, really?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, you got some Canadian like movie stars that the whole world knows about, But when they come to Canada, nobody cares. Like it's you can walk
Yeah,
down the
right.
street, people will look and maybe take their picture, but they don't, go crazy over them like they do.
No. Yeah, that I think that we've heard that that's why people, the stars like to come to TIFF, right? The International Film Festival here, is because they can. I mean, everybody knows who they are, but we're just so polite. We just kind of leave them alone. We just kind of point to our wives or whoever we're with. Hey, look, that's Ryan Reynolds, and that's about as far as it goes. Right?
Leave them alone. Leave them alone.
Yeah, let them do their thing.
What is that? Why are Canadians so polite? Why is that?
I don't know. Sorry, Lee. I'm not sure. I can't answer that. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. What about Austrians? Are they polite people? I know you are.
Yes, the Austrians are very polite. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, of course.
We got that established. But we know we can have a mastermind between Canadians and Austrians because we have the same belief system of being polite. There you go. How about mentors? You got can you think of mentors? I know in my case, I've actually luckily had a few of them. I look back and I think I have no idea why they wanted to mentor me. One guy actually who turned me on to Bob Proctor, and then of course I managed to be mentored by Bob Proctor. But I still remember his name, Ken Samar. He's got to be probably. I think he's still around. I don't know exactly where, but I think he's like he's got to be 80 by now or late 70s, anyways. But for some reason, he just thought that I had some kind of potential, and he just always kept pointing me in the right direction. And the smart thing for me was that I actually listened to him, and it got me into a lot of things, which got me out of, I mentioned before that I used to drive a bus. Like it was his mentoring. He didn't tell me to leave driving a bus. It's just that he got me thinking, and I started focusing on, what, I want a different life. Again, there's nothing wrong with driving a bus if that's what you want to do. But I didn't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And he got me thinking that I could do whatever I wanted, which I'd never heard that before in my entire life. I think I was probably in my mid to late 20s. And I'm finally hearing that I can actually live my own life by design. What? How's that possible? Like, I was never told that. No, you go get a job somewhere and you spend the rest of your life there, whether you like it or not. That's what I was told.
Yeah.
Look for benefits and a pension. That's all I ever knew. But what's this about thinking and growing rich? Or at the time, Bob Proctor's program, you were born rich. And what is all this rich stuff? Like, I didn't come from a family that talked about rich. Like, rich? Who said that? Like, it's and that's the beautiful thing is when you do have mentors and coaches and get involved in mastermind groups, it's amazing what you can get out of it. Like, really, literally can change your entire life.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
anybody else got mentors that you can mention? Like,
I don't want to mention their name because I just, I'd like to get their permission first. But when I was coming up through, it's funny, you kind of. No, you know, Cal. Yeah, I mean,
shoulder again. Tell him.
Okay, well done.
No, I wasn't saying you did it wrong or whatever. I just know, he's very private, so I don't want to mention it. But when I was coming up through, it's funny because people come into your life, especially when you're open to it. So you probably put it out there. Maybe you didn't even realize, but in the back of your mind, you said, I'm not crazy about this. And you open yourself up to that because otherwise they wouldn't even be coming talking to you. Right? They saw something in you. So it was the same with me in early on. Like it didn't matter what I did. I'd always be like a senior consultant. I'd be a senior, then a team lead, whatever. But in my mind, I wanted to be a manager. And they saw that in me and kind of coached me through that. And I didn't, the reality is I wanted to be a manager, but I wasn't a manager. And so that was the mindset that he put in me. He said, stop wanting to be a manager. Just be a manager. What sort of things do you want to do as a manager? Well, start doing them. When someone is ready to, that's the one thing he told me. When you get into a position, the first thing you should do is start preparing your replacement, because there's no way that you're going to get promoted unless there's someone that can, replace what you're doing. If you're too important, if you're so kick butt that you cannot be removed without, wrecking the team, you're not going to get promoted. So that was the first thing. And then the second thing is, if you want a higher position, start doing the things now, volunteering to do those things that were higher position, because then they will see you as a higher position, again, through action, right? Everyone says, oh yeah, that guy got promoted, or that player, or that person got promoted. That should have been me. Well, how are people supposed to know that, right? The skill set of, for me, let's say a developer is different than the skill set of a manager or a development manager. Completely different skill set. Because you're a kick butt developer doesn't mean you're going to be a kick butt manager. Completely different skill set. So unless people see those traits and in you ahead of time, there's no way they would even consider to remove you for those two reasons. So that was an important lesson that I learned from that person.
Where again, mentors, mastermind groups, that's how you learn that stuff, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely, and the practice.
Yeah. Sorry, what was that, Karen? I cut you off there.
Yeah, the practice is it to embody what you said, Walter. Do the stuff you want to do. Make the job you want to do, even if you do it in volunteering. But just do it. This is embodying. This is stepping into the new self, in the high vibration. And then when you feel it, how good it is to make this job right now in this moment, this is what you're sending out to the universe. And
Yeah,
keeping you up on this high level of vibration.
That's another important thing that I always tell all my kids, everybody that can listen through Napoleon Hill, is always do more than is requested. Always do more than is expected. That's the secret to success, right? Is never just toe the line. Volunteer, do more. If they want you to do X, do X plus 10. If they want you to come in at this time, stay a little bit later. If they want you to, this new movement of silent quitting or whatever, it's a bad I think that's a bad term. The idea is just do what's expected as opposed to kicking your butt or whatever. I personally don't get it. I mean, I understand the process of it. Oh, again, it's that 9 to 5 sort of workers mentality or whatever. But if you want to excel, then excel means going above and beyond.
Yeah.
So, if you should do more than is expected, stay a little bit longer if you enjoy doing what you're doing. But towing the line, being basically average or whatever, that's how I took it. I don't agree with that personally. So anyway.
Well, you, Karen, you have some good mentors in your life?
I had many, many mentors. Yeah. And I learned a lot from everyone. But when you were my mentor, I could put all the dots together.
Thanks for saying that.
And that's what happened to me. I knew a lot. I studied a lot. But you told me and you taught me how to put all together. And yeah, this. Thank you. At this time, thank you.
Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. One of the things that's, we all coach people. I learn something from every single person I work with. Like there's always something, we're talking about that psychic connection with, when two people get together, 2 or more people get together. There's also a psychic connection with, infinite, that making the third mind, basically. And that comes up a lot when I work with people. Because I've said it many times. I know you guys, I've heard this. I don't know if anybody listening, I've said it with anybody listening before, but I know you guys have heard me say it. But there's times when I'll say something at the very right time. And after I've said it, I'm thinking, where did that come from?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah,
and that's not, again, it's not something that I had in me that I'm now letting out. That's I'm being guided to say something. Mm-hmm. It's for the person I'm saying it to. It's not for me. But then I look back and I'm thinking, wow, what a lesson that is for me.
Yeah.
Realize that if I can channel something to a person that I'm talking to, what can I do for myself?
Yeah.
That's again,
that's
I think
interesting.
A lot of changes in the last couple of months or so with the Elevate Network and things like that. Like that's where that's coming from.
Yeah.
we're doing stuff that has never been done before. Like, it's not like there's somebody saying, oh, just do this, do this, do this, because it hasn't been done. It's important. It hasn't been done. But, you know, us getting together and talking about things and masterminding ideas, we're gradually making something pretty special, I think. And I think it's going to be really special as time goes on, which actually leads me to on Wednesday nights, or not night, it's nights for Karin because she's in Austria, but 3 p.m. on Wednesdays, we do the Elevate Roundtable, which is kind of a mastermind idea. Like we usually start with some kind of a topic, but it usually goes off into whatever somebody wants to talk about. Somebody has ideas and thoughts. So, you know, if anybody maybe listening to us wants to join the Elevate Roundtable, it's not done live like this. It's not done on Facebook. It's a closed group. You have to register to be part of it. And you can find that on myelevatenetwork.com. There's a link there, or you can ask any one of us, and we certainly can point you towards that. So if somebody wants to join us, that would be fantastic. And then, of course, I guess it's time for us to start wrapping up. Tuesdays, Karin and I are doing abundance tuning. There's still a few more sessions left in that. And then again, back here next week, Thursday, we'll be doing the Think and Grow Rich. And next week, interesting chapter. It's called The Mystery of Sex Transmutation. And I remember the very first time I read that little devil had a completely different idea what this chapter was about.
Right.
You have to read it several times.
You have to read it to understand it. It's not anywhere near as bad as the title might suggest. Just basically, again, it's a great chapter. It's really about, you know, transferring certain energies towards the things you want. And again, my little devil sticks up every once in a while and says, "Why would you want to do that?" Anyway, we're going to be channeling ideas next week, same 3 p.m. right here, and hopefully everybody can join us. And any final thoughts before we call it a day?
No, thanks to you guys again. Just like this is how I recharge my batteries. So thanks to you both, and the Wednesday calls as well.
Yeah,
they're awesome. Anyone wants to, they should get into a mastermind group. It highly recommended. It really is, for all the reasons we just spoke about.
And if you want a mentor or coach, there's people right here that's what we do. If you're looking for that. Any final thoughts, Karin?
No, I just want to say thank you for everybody who joined us, and it's really great to have this group. And yeah, everybody should come up on the roundtable and on the calls on Tuesday and Thursday. It's absolutely great.
Yeah, we're pretty much always all there on Wednesday. So you know, occasionally somebody has something else that comes up, but most of the time we're there. And if you just want to have conversations with some people, that's the place to do it. There's no charge for it. But you do have to register, because we only give the link for the Zoom call once you're registered. So go ahead and do that. So anyways, appreciate anybody who might be following along. I know there's some people there, but again, unfortunately, this doesn't tell me their name, so I can't say hello to anybody, but hello, whoever you are. And thanks again, Karin, for being here, and Walter, and we'll see you next week with the Mystery of Sex Transmutation.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great
Thanks, everybody.
Have a great week.
Take care.
Bye.